Hello everyone, this is Reza Dorani, Microsoft Business Applications MVP. In today's video, we will look at how Power BI and Power Apps can work together. One of the recent announcements around Power BI Desktop, which is currently available in preview, is the ability to perform direct query on the Common Data Service. So I'm actually going to showcase the demo today leveraging this feature and also show you how you can apply this to other scenarios as well. So in this case, for you to enable direct query on entities in the Common Data Service, there are certain prerequisites that you would have to follow. One of the important prerequisites is your database needs to have a version higher than the number specified right here. And there is a feature setting called TDS endpoint, which is available in preview that you need to enable for your environment. Of course, to make a change in an environment, you need to be an environment admin or a Power Platform admin or the global admin for your tenant. You need to have those specific rights. Now, how do I enable this? For this, the first step is head over to Power Apps. And when you are in Power Apps, if I go to Settings, Admin Center, this will open the Power Platform Admin Center. And within the Power Platform Admin Center, it will list out all your environments. In my case, I have all my environments listed right here. I will go ahead and pick the environment where I would like to enable the direct query feature for CDS. In this case, once you have clicked on your environment name, go to settings. Now, I mentioned two things. You need to have the environment version first of all. So here's my version 9.1.0. This is the database version of the environment 18046. Which is definitely higher than the required version, so I'm good in this case. And the next part is I need to enable this feature. Now in my case, I have already enabled this feature, but I would like to show you how you can go ahead and change this. So if I head over to settings for my environment, if I go to product, features, right here is the TDS endpoint, which is the preview feature which you need to enable. Please note, this is not yet recommended for production environments. So in this case, I've gone ahead and enabled it. Now, once you're done with that, you are ready to go ahead and start analyzing your CDS entities with Power BI, of course, in direct query mode. Now, for folks who are not aware of what is direct query or what are the different modes in which you can pull data into Power BI. So the first step is you need to understand what are the different modes. Now, data refreshing in Power BI has different modes. We have the import mode right here, which is also known as the scheduled refresh mode. And what does the import mode or the scheduled refresh mode do? In this case, when you connect to your data source, this is imported into the Power BI service once you publish your data set. So it's cached in the service itself. It's not a direct call to your data source every time. The second mode is the direct query mode, and this is a direct connection to your data source. No data is stored in the Power BI model. This mode, which is the direct query mode, will always query your backend data source every time, so your data is kind of live. There is another mode also called live connection, which is very similar to direct query mode and works with specific data sources like SSAS. Now, if you would like to understand more about the different modes in Power BI, the guy in the cube has this excellent video. They break down the different modes in which you can import data into Power BI. So I'll highly recommend you to watch this. Also, there is another blog post by Reza Rad. He is a Power BI MVP. I will paste both the link to this video and the link to Reza Rad's blog post in the description of this video. So if you would like to learn more about import versus direct query versus live connection, do check these out. The next thing is, we've enabled CDS for direct query, but how do I start building my Power BI report? So if I head back over to Power Apps, and in my use case right now that I'm covering, I have two entities that I have created in CDS, very simple entities. One is called Power Manufacturers. I've named it Power Manufacturers. And the data in this is just a list of manufacturers. I just have three: Acer, Asus, and Dell. Now, if I head back to my entities, I have another one called Power Devices. And in this case, I have more data points captured right here. So if I go to custom fields, you will notice that I have my device names, device type, memory, a link to the picture of the device, and so on and so forth. And there is a relationship that I have created between the devices and the manufacturers. Now that I've gone ahead and set these things up, how do I go ahead and analyze all of this in Power BI? Once you have those prerequisites completed that I showcased earlier, when you head over to entities, and you will get this option called Analyze in Power BI. Once I select this, it will download a Power BI template file for you. Once you open this, this will launch your Power BI desktop. Make sure you have the latest version of Power BI desktop installed. This will go ahead, open up my Power BI desktop. At the same time, it will also go ahead and give me the access to go ahead and perform direct query on my CDS entities. So as you can see, it's going ahead and connecting to my environment right here. And once it does that, it goes ahead and connects to my environment. There is a specific port associated with my environment that it talks to, and that port number is 5558. There are ways in which you can directly go ahead and call this as well by using the SQL Server data connection and by just plugging in the same URL that you see here with the port number 5558. But for this purpose of this demo, I'm going to keep it very simple. So I will go ahead here and now open up my environment database, and this will list out all the entities that are available as part of this environment. Now in my case, that's my Power Devices entity. I can go ahead and load this into my Power BI desktop, and this will go ahead and load my entity. And then I can go ahead and create my visualizations. And once I'm done, I can go ahead and click on publish. Now the key thing here is once I complete all of this, if I head back to Power BI, so I've already gone ahead and done that. I've taken those steps, pulled in my entity, and then gone ahead and built my report. Once I do that in the Power BI desktop, now if I head back to the Power BI service, I deployed it to my workspace. So if I go to my workspace and if I head over to my data sets, one of my data sets, it's right here, which is called Power Devices. Now, if I head over to the settings of this particular data set, what I want you to observe right here is if I go to the schedule cache refresh, you will notice that it clearly states that there is a direct connection between Power BI and this database. So direct query has been incorporated for me. So every time I connect or every time I view my report and hit on that refresh button on the top, it will automatically get the latest data for me. Now the next steps is, let's look at my report. So this time I will look at the report that I published for my devices entity. And this is what my report looks like. It's a very simple report wherein I've just added the tabular data of all my devices. I also have a couple of visualizations right here. It shows the number of devices per device type. And I also have the number of devices per manufacturer right here. This is through the relationship defined in my CDS entity. Now, Power BI is great for analyzing data, visualizations on my data, build dashboards, build reports. But I cannot perform CRUD operations on my data source. What are CRUD operations? I cannot create a record in my data source or edit the record or delete the record. I cannot perform those actions in Power BI because Power BI is technically read-only. How do I actually perform CRUD operations within a Power BI report? And the answer to that is PowerApps. PowerApps can perform CRUD operations for you. So how do I embed a PowerApp visual within a Power BI report? In order for me to do that, I will go ahead and edit this report. And you can take the same steps in the Power BI desktop as well. Once I edit this, if you notice, one of the visualizations right here is PowerApps. Once I select this, it will add the Power App visual within the Power BI report for me. Now, of course, I can go ahead and select this and increase the width, increase the height, and make sure this is sitting accurately. Notice how the existing guidance that is provided will walk you through the steps that you need to execute. So it says step 1, select fields from your data set that you would like to use into your app. So this Power BI report has 2 entities right here as part of my data set. So I can go ahead and pick different fields right here. And these fields will be passed over contextually to my Power App. And that's my step 1. So in my case, I will go ahead and I will import specific fields into my Power App. So I will say pass the name of my device, pass the photo, pass the price parameter, and maybe pass the manufacturer name and device type. So let's say I'm passing these 5 attributes over to my Power App. Now notice the moment I picked my first attribute actually that I would like to pass, this screen changed, right? The help text changed, and now it's saying, okay, you have selected your data points that you would like to pass from the Power BI report to the Power App. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to create a new app, or would you like to choose an existing application that you have in Power Apps? Now, as part of this demo, I will go ahead and create a new Power App. Now, what this will do is this will go ahead and create a new Power App for me. But the important part to understand here is that this Power App will have a special connection to that Power BI report. Once this Power App gets created, the first thing I want you to observe is on the left-hand side in the tree view of my Power App, right here, I have a Power BI integration object. That means this Power BI or this Power App is connected to that Power BI report. That's the connection right here. Also, when you create a new app, it will go ahead and create one screen, add a gallery to that screen, and notice the items property of that gallery says powerbiintegration.data. This data is all the data that's available in this Power BI report at the moment that it is passing over contextually to my Power App because I selected these data points. Now, if you notice, there are plenty other data points, but the only data points that Power App will understand are the ones that I'm passing to my Power App from the Power BI report. Now, right here, within the context, I have this gallery, right? And the items property of this gallery says Power BI integration, which is the special object .data. Now let's go ahead and try something out. Let's edit this gallery in Power Apps. Let's increase the height of this. Let's place this right here, and let's copy and paste this. And let's see what attributes are available right here in this item property. If you notice, I have device type, name, photo, manufacturer's name, and price. That's it. These are the only data points that are available for me. And the reason is because these are the data types that I have passed to my Power App. So very, very important to understand, whatever you pass, only those data points will be available for you within the context of Power BI integration.data. Okay, so this gives out a gallery for me. Now, what can I do with this? Well, firstly, let's go ahead and make some changes to this app. So I'm going to set a theme for this app. Quickly, I'll try and make some changes. I will add a header for this app. That's my header label right here, which says devices Power App. Perfect. Now, this is my gallery. Now, of course, as part of my gallery, I want to showcase the different attributes that I have passed from my Power BI report to my Power App. So I'm going to show the name of my device, which is right here. And I would also go ahead and add an image. One of the properties that I'm passing is a URL, which is to the photo of this device. So if I pick this item.photo, I can place this right here. And I can, of course, make this smaller. I can resize this, maybe center align this right here. So that's my price, that's my device. And now this gallery looks pretty neat. And let's say I go ahead, and most important thing is you need to first go ahead and publish this app. Once you make your changes, go ahead and publish the app. If your browser crashes, Power Apps will not save any of the activities that you performed. Very, very important. So please save your app at least once. I'm going to call this Power BI Power Apps Integration for now. And then I will go to Save As, and I will save this Power App. Now, because I'm saving it the first time, it will not only save it, but also publish it. The key here is to publish the app once you make your changes, because only the published changes you make will be available in the Power BI report. Now that I'm done with this, I can go ahead and close this browser tab. These steps are very important to follow in order. Once you go back to the Power BI report, make sure you hit the save icon. Now, of course, as you can see, there's some space around my visual, so I can go ahead and make sure that I don't see any spaces, center, and then go ahead and save this. Very important to hit save. Now my report has been saved. And then also go ahead and refresh your screen. Now, once you do this, right, publish your Power App, then close the browser tab for the Power App, go back to your Power BI report and hit that save button. Once you do all of this, you have the first setup complete. Now notice when I come to this report, I have the Power App right here. Now the data for this Power App is actually coming from the Power BI report. And to prove my point, if I start slicing and dicing my data in Power BI, so let's go ahead and say, I'm interested in all the devices related to Dell. So I just select Dell right here. Notice it's filtered my Power App to only show all the devices related to Dell. If I go ahead and change this to Asus, it will only show me the devices related to Asus. I can slice and dice my data in Power BI, and the same data set is being leveraged by my Power App. So even if I pick one item, notice how it just shows me that one item in my Power App. Power App and Power BI are talking to each other. Now, if you missed passing an attribute to this and you would like to add another attribute, very simple. Just go back then, edit your report. Again, these are the steps you would have to follow. Select the Power App Visual. Sometimes it acts a little clunky, so go to the Power App Visual, click on these three dots and go to Spotlight. So you make sure that you are selecting this visual itself. And now you can go ahead and add more data points. So just to show you how an additional data point could be added, or even an existing data point can be removed, you could go either ways. Add the screen size attribute as well. Now, in order for me to edit my app, you see these three ellipses right here? You need to select this and click edit. These are the steps you have to take. If you go back directly to Power Apps, so let's say I go to Power Apps and I go to Apps, will I see my app in Power Apps? Of course I will, because at the end of the day, it is a Power App. If I go and edit this, will I see those data points? Will I see that integration bucket? Yes, you'll see the integration bucket, but you won't see those data points. So it's very important to make sure that whenever you're editing your Power App, you do so from within the context of Power BI. Now, once I come back into my Power App and I edited this in the Power BI report, remember that. Now, if I head back right here and let's say I got the price right here, if I want to put the screen size attribute, let's say I create another label. And of course, you can beautify this. In this case, I will do this item dot, and notice how the new data point, which was my screen size, is available for me right here. So if you want to pass data points, just go and add them. Of course, if I remove a data point and the existing code has a data point, this will throw an error. So I have to come back here and remove it. Please note these aspects. But now I want to perform CRUD operations. Power Apps enables you to do exactly that. Now the next step is, how do I perform these CRUD operations? So let's say I go ahead and create a new screen. One of the screens has a template called form. I'm leveraging a template to save time for this video. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on form. This will go ahead and create a new screen for me and add a form control. Now the title of the screen, I'm going to change this to devices. And as you can see right here, it has a form control. Now the data source for this, I can go ahead and pick my entity. So I can go ahead and connect to my same entity called Power Devices. I go ahead and pick my data source. If your data source is SharePoint, pick SharePoint. If your data source is SQL, pick your SQL table right here. Whatever your data source is that the Power BI is running off, you can pick the same data source in Power Apps as well, so you can perform CRUD operations on that data source. Now it's asking me to select the different fields. Now let's say I do not want the created by field. I want the name of my device. I want the type of the device to be picked. I want the memory to be selected. Now what this will go ahead and do is this is going to go ahead and build out the form for me and add all those data cards in there. Now if I head back to screen 1, notice I have this icon right here. And when the user clicks on this icon, what I would like to do is I would like to navigate the user to the second screen. So I'll say, okay, go to screen number 2. So if I play the app and if I, let's say, select Alienware M18X, this will take me to screen number 2. Now in the screen, you will notice that it says no item to display. And that is because the form control has a property called item that I have not yet specified. I need to define what item I want to show. Very, very important tip I'm going to give you right now. If you do gallery.selected, right, it will throw an error. And the reason why it is going to throw you the error is because this gallery, the data is coming from Power BI. It's not coming from your data source. Power BI is getting it from the data source and passing it to your Power App. Now, if I head back to my form control, although I did gallery.selected, this is not going to work. So what I need to do is I need to look up the value from my data source. PowerApps has a function called lookup. So it's asking me which data source. My data source is Power Devices. In this data source, I have a unique column called name. So I'm going to pick name, and the name is equal to what? It is equal to the gallery.selected dot the name attribute. That means whatever value is selected in that gallery, get that unique name, and now go ahead and search in my data source and get me that item. Now notice it has gone ahead and actually done that. I have all the properties of that selected item listed right here in my form control. There's another icon right here called X. So when the user selects this, maybe I want to navigate back to screen number 1. So if I play this app, select this, will take me back. Let's say I pick Aspire M. Once I select this, it takes me to the screen, and notice now all the values are related to Aspire M. If I would like to design my form to be editable and for the user, so in this case, it's an editable form. How do I know that? Well, because I can make changes to this, right? So let's say the price $6.99, I can change this to $7.99. I can make this an editable form. This is already an editable form. Now, when the user selects this icon, it is submitting the form. And when the form submits, the form control in PowerApps has a property, if I go to the advanced tab, called on success. So what do you want to do if this succeeds? That means it successfully updates the data in your data source. Well, in my case, typically what we do is we will navigate back to a success screen or give a message. So in this case, let's say I'll give a message. I'll use the notify function and then navigate to my home screen. This is what we typically do. But in my case, yes, I want to notify the user. Yes, I want to navigate back to the home screen, but I want my Power BI report, the data set there, to refresh. What do I do for that? There is actually a formula available right here, and that is Power BI integration. Once again, notice it uses this integration node dot refresh. Now what this formula does, Power BI integration dot refresh, it forces a refresh of the visuals. Very, very important to understand. It forces a refresh of the visuals in the Power BI report. It does not refresh the data set. It just refreshes the visuals. In this scenario, because my data set is direct query oriented, anytime I refresh the visuals, it will automatically refresh my data set because it will go ahead and query my data source again. And because I'm updating my same data source within PowerApps, when I trigger this, it would be like a live refresh. And because this is direct query, we have unlimited refreshes. I will talk about the number of refreshes based on the different modes soon. Key point here to understand is I am refreshing the visuals in my Power BI report by calling this formula. Now, of course, in this case, I am editing items, right? If I hit this, this will edit the item. Now, what if I would like to also create an item? Well, in that case, in PowerApps, I can go ahead and let's say add a icon right here. And when the user selects this, now in the case of this, I am just navigating to screen number 2. I want to use the same form control. So I will use edit form. So I'm changing the form mode. So when the user selects this item, it will open the form in edit mode and then navigate to screen 2. When the user selects this button on select of my plus icon, what I would like to do is very simple. I will call the new form function. So I want to create a new form and then navigate to that screen. So now if I play my app, if I hit this plus icon, notice it creates a new form. If I go back and select any item in my gallery, this will show me that specific item in the gallery. Okay, now that I'm done with this, if I play this, right, and let's say I pick Alienware M18X. Now look at the price, it's $18.99. Remember this, $18.99. I'm gonna change this to $19.99. M18X. Now if I submit this, this will actually submit the data to my data source, which it has gone ahead and done. But notice that the value did not change. That's because right now I am running the Power App in the context of Power Apps. This is not in the context of Power BI. Remember, I am in the Power App Maker portal. I'm in the Maker experience. I'm in the Power App Studio. So let's go ahead and do what? Save and publish, because I want to test this. Until and unless I don't publish, I will not be able to see those changes. Now, if I head back to my Power BI report, remember, once you save and publish, close the browser tab, go back to Power BI, hit the save button. These are the steps you have to take. Hit the save button, the report is saved, and now just refresh. That's it. Same 3 steps again. Once I'm done with that, okay, here we go. here's my Power App in action. Now notice right here, the value for M18X now is showing correctly, which is 1999. That's the change that I made. Now let's say we make a specific change. So this time we will pick Inspiron 17. So once I select this, this is the item that gets selected here. Why? Because Power Apps and Power BI are talking to each other right now. If I select this, I can make modifications, right? Let's say I change the price of this to $6.99. Now please observe this, $6.99, the moment I hit this button, it will go ahead and submit the data to the data source, because that's what Power Apps can do. At the same time, I am also going ahead, and after it successfully submits to the data source, I am providing a refresh on my Power BI visuals. Because this report is performing direct query, everything will refresh instantaneously. Check this out. I'm gonna hit this. This is gonna go ahead, updated. Notice my visual got refreshed, and just check this out right here. Immediately this changed to $6.99. Now if I select out, if I remove all my filters right here, let's say I just select out, it's gonna show me everything back again. So let's take an example of Acer. Acer has 3 laptops right now, or 3 devices. So if I select Acer right here, you will notice it has 3 items right here. Now let's say I want to go ahead and add another item to Acer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus icon. Now it is asking me for the name of my device. So I will go ahead and plug the name of my device. It's asking me for the type of my device. So my device type is laptop. So I'm going to plug the picture here. It's asking me which manufacturer. So I'm going to pick Acer. Okay. The moment I hit this, it will add a new item to where? To my data source using Power App. And then once it does that successfully, I am refreshing my Power BI report visuals. Because this is supporting direct query, instantaneously everything will change. Check this out. This will change to 11, laptop, because I picked laptop. And Acer will change to 4 devices, and we'll see the new device coming in, which is Acer Aspire V3. Let's hit this. Now it's performing a refresh of my visuals. Laptop has changed to 11, as you can see. And if you look at the number of devices for Acer, it has changed as well. If I pick Acer, I should see all my 4 devices, and this is the latest device that I just added in here as well, which is the Aspire V3. If I select this, this will show me all the data elements associated with it. So you can create these live connection CRUD operations, Power BI and Power Apps based solution. How do I know which data sources support direct query so I can leverage this functionality? Direct query all live connection, by the way. I will provide this link in the description of this video. It clearly highlights which databases supported. So one of the examples here is SharePoint. SharePoint does not support direct query. You see this SharePoint online list, it does not support direct query. We just now leveraged CDS, but for that it's a preview feature. We turned on specific features and got it to work. SQL supports direct query, for example. So you need to know which data sources you're working with and which support direct query. Direct query means unlimited refreshes, and how you can initiate those refreshes, you can do so directly from Power Apps. Now, if your data source does not support direct query, case in point SharePoint, in that case, if you have the Power BI Pro license, you will get 8 refreshes per day. If you have the Power BI Premium service license, in that case, your data sets will have 48 refreshes per day. So you are limited to how many times you can refresh your data sets. In the interest of time, I have gone ahead and already created another report. In this case, this report is talking to SharePoint as a data source. And it's a very, very simple list in SharePoint, which is called my tickets list. And in this case, I have created a very simple Power BI report, as you can see. And right here within my Power BI report, I have gone ahead and plugged in a Power App that talks to my data source, which is SharePoint. Now, what I want you guys to observe is this. In this scenario, again, I'm passing data to my Power App. And if I want to look at this, very simple, edit, select your visual, go to the 3 ellipses, click on edit. So you can edit the Power App from within the context of Power BI. Very, very important. The premise is exactly the same. Just like I had those entities, in this case, I have tickets, and it's talking to SharePoint as a data source. Of course, my Power App will have the Power BI integration object, and I see that object right here. And of course, I am also connected to SharePoint because I want to perform CRUD operations on my SharePoint data source. When I go ahead and submit my form, so if you remember earlier, on the onSuccess property of my data source, all I did is I did Power BI .refresh, and I'm doing exactly the same thing here. Same steps. But I want to show you that how direct query immediately initiates a refresh, whereas this won't. So if I go ahead and refresh this, and I head back to my Power BI report. This time, let's say I go ahead and I change the status on one of these, right? I'm just going to make a modification. Same thing will work for addition. So the phone issue right now says pending. Let's say I go ahead, I edit this, and I change my ticket status to completed. I hit submit. This will submit to my data source. Now, notice I did initiate the refresh, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. Even if I hit the refresh button manually here, nothing is happening. Phone issue was completed. Well, Reza, how do you say that? Let's go to my tickets list in SharePoint and let's just refresh the data source and see what's happening here. Right here, if you observe my phone issue, this is my ticket, the status has changed. But Power BI is not understanding that. And the reason is because even though I initiated that refresh, I am just initiating a refresh of the visuals. That is exactly what this refresh button does. But it's not refreshing my data source. Why? Because SharePoint does not support direct query. You would have to either schedule your refreshes or manually go ahead and refresh it. Now, one way of manually refreshing it, of course, is I can go back to my data set. And in my case, here's my data set. I can just go ahead and refresh this. This will go ahead and start the refresh of my data set. Now, if I head back to the report, if I refresh this and once that data set gets refreshed, you will notice that the phone issue now is changed to completed. Now, what if from within this Power App, I wanted to initiate that same manual refresh? You can do that by calling flow. So Power Apps can call flow, and from flow, there is an action that enables you to do exactly that. So if I head back to my Power App, let's try that out. I'm going to go to edit my report and I will go ahead and select my visual. Remember, this is a data source that does not support direct query. That's why I need to perform these additional steps. Very, very important to understand. I will be limited to the number of refreshes. So if I have the Power BI Pro license, I can only refresh the data set 8 times in a day. So if I try to perform these same steps, what I'm performing right now, once it hits 8, it's not going to refresh. It will wait for the 24-hour period to end and then start refreshing again. Please note that. You can also schedule it, but it will never be live. So in this case, let's say I go ahead and I pick this item that is in pending. Now, when I modify this and when I submit this, right, it goes into the success. Now, this refresh is not going to help me because this is just going to refresh the visual. What I need to do instead is I need to go ahead and call whom? Power Automate. Now, in Power Automate, I can go ahead and create a flow. And in this flow, what I can do is I can go ahead and trigger a refresh of my data set. So let's say I pick this initial template, which is Power App calling Power Automate. It just creates a simple connection right here. One of the actions is Power BI. And right here, I can refresh my data set. Please note this is in preview. All I have to do is pick my workspace and then pick my data set. In my case, it's the SharePoint list. And I can just go ahead and save this and call this button directly from my Power App. That will refresh my data set. In fact, if you want to be more intuitive, actually, you don't need a flow as well. One of the capabilities or one of the connectors, of course, is Power BI. So if I add the Power BI connection as well within my Power App, I can directly go ahead and leverage that connector, which is Power BI. .refresh my data set. I need to give the ID of my workspace and the ID of my data set, and I can directly refresh it here even without using flow. So multiple options to play with, but the key thing to understand here is that the refresh will not be instantaneous because this is more like a manual refresh that I'm executing using flow or Power Apps, and I will be limited to the number of refreshes I can make in a day. How do I add a Power App in here that works with the tablet version? So right now, if you notice, this Power App always works in the mobile version, and I cannot change the resolution of this app. I cannot. It's just designed for the mobile app. Now, if you want to go ahead and add a tablet format based Power App in your Power BI report, in that case, you have to go to Power Apps. So I'm going to go to make.powerapps.com. And once I am in Power Apps, go ahead and create an app. Now, maybe you have an existing app. You can also connect your existing app to that Power BI data set. You could do that. And imagine this is your existing app, but I'm just creating that app right now from scratch. So let's say I create an app and I'm going to call this tablet app sample. And I will go ahead and create this tablet application. So I'm creating a Power App using the tablet form factor. Remember, Power Apps, which are these canvas apps, you have to select the form factor. You have to decide whether you're building the app for the mobile experience or the tablet experience. In my case, I picked tablet, so you notice my experience is the tablet experience. And let's say I just pick a theme right now. I'll pick the aqua theme, and I will go ahead and what do I need to do? Save my app. Now imagine you have an existing app that your organization has built, and you would like to put that app as well in Power BI. You can do that. Imagine this is that app. I just built an app. The key thing here is this app is built with the tablet experience. Of course, it could also be the mobile experience. It doesn't matter. Now, if I head back to Power BI, okay, and let's say I go back to my workspace and let's pick my SharePoint report again. I will go ahead and edit this report. And let's say this time I remove my visual. Please note, removing the visual will not remove the app. The app is there in Power Apps. It's safe. I will go ahead and add the Power App Visual again. And once again, this will be the mobile form factor. Of course, I need to pass attributes. So let's say I pass the ID of my SharePoint list. I pass the title of my ticket and the status of my ticket. That's it. Just passing 3 attributes. Okay, let's say priority as well. Passed 4 attributes. Now, if you hit create new, this will create the Power App using the phone or the mobile form factor. If you need the tablet form factor, before this, I just created that tablet app, nothing in it, and I just published it. Now you can go and hit choose app, and you can choose any of your apps that you have, any apps. In my case, I'm going to choose my tablet app that I just created, and I'm going to click on add. So rather than building it from scratch, I am leveraging my tablet application right here. Now notice it says you want to edit this, go to Power App Studio. Click on this. This will now open that same app that I had built, but it will push the Power BI integration in there. Now I did not close my browser tab, so that's why it's telling me, do you want to override it? Say yes in my case. Once I do this, it will actually add that Power BI integration object within my tablet canvas app that I built. And notice once it does this, here is my integration object. No gallery will be created for me because I have leveraged an existing app. So imagine you have an existing app, you've done a lot of work with it, and you would like to put that in Power BI and leverage the Power BI data set and make them talk to each other, Power Apps and Power BI, you can do that as well. And in this case, let's say I will insert my own gallery. So I will add a gallery control right here. That's it. I've made my changes. I'm going to save this. Remember, always save, publish. Publish so that Power BI understands it. Comes back to your Power BI report, make your adjustments. Okay, you can make them later as well. Just hit the save button. The key here is to hit the save button and then go ahead and refresh. And this time, the Power BI report will actually showcase my Power App leveraging the tablet form factor, which I cannot do if I just directly go ahead and create a new Power App using the Power BI visual. So please note that fact. And this should open my tablet app right here within the experience of Power BI. Of course, I may have to do some sort of adjustments again and then save my app. And notice that when I refresh this, it's Power Apps within the context of Power BI, and the same slicing, dicing, data, CRUD operations, all those activities will work. So if I want to look at all the tickets that are completed, just click on completed and automatically it will only show me the completed tickets. So that covers the entire integration scenario between Power BI and Power Apps. Key points to remember: CDS now supports direct query. SQL already does. There are other data sources as well. Please check the links in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video.